5 years ago, there was a young teenage girl called Jessica.
Based on an urban legend.
One day, just a few days after giving birth, she snapped and ran away.
Something horrific, forgotten in time.
She ran into the woods, these woods to be precise, and hanged herself.
Will return to the present.
Jessica.
Welcome to Geek Legion of Doom, and it's Lisa Loves doing a review of the movie The Small Woman in Grey. This is a 2017 movie. It's a small independent British indie film, and the writer and director is Andrew Eltham-Byers. This movie stars quite a few people. Just to name a few for you here, the main people in the movie. We have Josh Bowden, who plays Jack Castle, Matt Fisher, who plays Stevie Yard, Alan Harding, who plays Alex Winter, J.C. James Reynolds, who plays Richard Manning, Heather Russell Kay, who plays Stacey Fern, and Becca Tizard, who plays Laura Oakes. So the basic synopsis of this movie is we have a group of friends who decide to do what a lot of people in the UK like to do of a weekend. They go into a forest with a few tents, with a lot of alcohol, and they decide to have a few drinkies and enjoy themselves. We find out that the forest is reputedly haunted. Now, the forest is obviously a very popular place for this kind of movie, and I do really enjoy a forest setting for this type of movie. We have a ghost hunter who just randomly gets separated from his group and wanders into the group, and that's how they find out of the history of the forest and what's happened. A young girl, 25 years previous or 20 years previous, actually committed suicide. She hung herself in the forest. She had just given birth, and she committed suicide 2 days later. There's not really anything else said apart from that. So we have the basic, it's a removal from the tales around the campfire, I suppose. Someone actually comes and tells them the history. And as the movie progresses, various individuals get picked off of the group, and it's up to the remaining ones to work out what's going on and to try to save themselves. I don't want to say anything more about the plot than that. I don't want to give anything away. So what did I think of the movie? I think the writing by Andrew Eltham-Byers, I think he's just referred to as Andrew Eltham on the actual credits. I think it's well written. I do see what he was going for. I think some of the shots are really nicely done. I will say this is obviously a very small budget film, so don't compare it to movies with massive like Hollywood budgets, as you're obviously not going to get the same kind of thing. But there are scenes where I'm sure you can pick up pieces of kit like in the forest, like cameras or, you know, things. Maybe I'm wrong, but it certainly looked that way to me. The main downfall of this movie, obviously because it has got a very small budget, you're not really going to have your pick and choice of actors. And for the most part, the acting in this movie is exceptionally bad. In places it does come off as believable in that it is something a group of young teenagers would do on a weekend, and the script, the banter that was going back and forth was in places believable, but then a line would be slipped in that would just be ridiculous. One thing I will say, one of the main girls in this is called Laura. She has a boyfriend called Richard, who is not a very nice person. He doesn't want her to be friends with guys, even guys that are gay, because he somehow thinks she's going to turn this gay guy straight. He's just an arse to be, you know, he's not a very nice person. And we all know guys like that, so his character was actually pretty believable, but he's not in it all that much. But his girlfriend Laura, I noticed as she's having script with any other character, she's incapable of looking them in the eye. I don't know if that's something that was written in as maybe of her being a nervous, you know, unconfident person, but that's never actually broached or discussed. She just doesn't look someone straight in the eye when she's talking to them, and for an actor, that's, you know, that's pretty much a prerequisite. That's something you need to be able to do. So anything that she was saying, it was coming across as poor acting. It wasn't coming across as believable at all. Her friend, Stacey, who's probably the female with the most dialogue in this movie, I just found her really like overacted and corny, and everything. You were made really aware of the fact you were watching acting, and it was something you would expect to see on like someone at university has done a play. It's that sort of thing. You're not seeing something that strikes you as believable and real. Now, there are two characters who play the gay couple. Now, that's something I will say that I liked about this movie. They have a gay couple in here, and that is not a massive focus. That is not a massive thing. That's just the couple happen to be gay. I like that. I think it's quite progressive, so kudos for that. The two young lads that play this gay couple were actually very believable, Jack and Alex. I liked both characters. I liked the relationship. I just liked how it played out, so I will give them kudos for that. I did feel they did a good job with a pretty difficult story and script, to be fair. There's another actor in there who plays Stevie Yard. He wasn't too bad, although there were some cringy where he broke out into song, just because people said, oh, sing, let me hear you sing, and that was just really uncomfortable and cheesy to watch. It was a really hard job for the actors given the actual material involved. There was also use of CGI in this for deaths, and it was atrocious. It was funny. It was so bad, it was funny. And I think they really could have very easily achieved deaths of these individuals without having to resort to special effects. To be honest, sometimes we don't even really need to see any gore or anything. Like, if you imagine a movie like The Blair Witch Project, we didn't see gore, and that was incredibly effective. Obviously, it'll have had a massive budget compared to this, but my point is, we don't need to see loads of blood. We don't need to see... There's one particular scene where... I'm going to give this away, so spoiler, if you don't want it spoiling, don't watch, where they attempt the split down the middle, where someone's like body splits in half and falls side to side, and it's just so one-dimensionally flat. It's awful. Really, they need to... I can see promise with this writer. I can see what he was trying to do. I can see that if he had more money behind him and better actors, he could do a much better job. I'm not saying the actual synopsis of this was awful. I'm just saying that a lot of the execution wasn't the best. The ending, it is just so long and drawn out, and the conversation that takes place at the end by a character called Mrs. Kurman, she shows up for the last maybe 15 or 20 minutes of that, and most of that is her talking in a scene that really should have been quite fast and quick and shocking. It wasn't. It was just everything was explained in minute detail that you didn't really need explaining. The CGI was used again to even worse effect. There was bits with walls crumbling, and it was just awful. It's something you'd expect a film student at like uni to be producing. It just wasn't really something that I can see people going out and spending their hard-earned money to purchase. This movie is actually available for free on YouTube. It is available on Amazon also. I'm not sure if that's actually free. I feel really awful giving such a terrible review of this movie, but I can't in good conscience tell you that it's worth watching when it isn't. People would be extremely cross at me for that. Also in that movie you have like another story that's running concurrently with it in the background, which seems to me to have absolutely no relevance. At the end we sort of get a kind of bit of how it may tie in, but it's really, really confusing as to what they're doing, and the other characters are just, they didn't need to be there. There's no need for them. That was Tiffany and Marcus, I believe. Just two characters were introduced to right at the start that then just disappear, and periodically Tiffany pops up here and there and she's referred to. Where's Tiffany? Oh, she hasn't showed up. And it's just the dialogue, and it's just not believable. With the exception of the gay couple, who I did quite enjoy, I would not say there's anything else worth sitting down and taking your time to watch this movie. It's definitely not one I would recommend personally. If I had to give this a score out of 10, I would say a 3. And I'm being generous there. It wasn't a very good movie at all. So that's my opinion of The Small Woman in Grey. Have any of you seen it? If you have, what did you think? And that's all from Lisa Loves for Geek Legion of Doom.